Hi, I'm Tim Donner along with Andrew Moran, Dave Patterson, Graham Noble, and John Claude. And this is the Conservative Five, an online TV production of Liberty Nation News. The Democratic Party appears to be in a serious stage 4 death rattle after the 2024 election losses. While the GOP is riding high on the field, bases loaded, and a technical cleanup batter at bat, all the while Octogenarian Democrats squabble with the kids in the dugout. After sitting out last season in defense mode, the younger progressives are full throttle, taking over the party. Have the young ones gone a bit hog wild? Yes, that David Hogg, daring to publicly rebuke Speaker Pelosi and Senator Chuck Schumer. Let's turn to you, Dave. Most of us remember or have studied the woes of George McGovern in 1972 when he lost a landslide election, 49 states, at the hands of Richard Nixon. McGovern once said, "I opened up the doors of the Democratic Party and 20 million people walked out." Is that what's happening to the Democratic Party right now?
The truth is, I think that McGovern was ahead of his time. You know, he may have opened the doors, but the moderate Democrats walked out in 2024. You know, what you have today is really a deeply divided party with no middle ground. The split is between the rabid progressive ideologues like Bernie Sanders and child actor Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, compared with moderates like Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, who is a big government guy, but he sees change as incremental. The progressives have a showstopper of a problem. On the 80%, 20% issues where 80% of the voters don't want men in women's sports, want school choice for their kids, don't want illegal aliens roaming around killing their neighbors, and do not want to be told what stove to buy, well, the Democrats and then progressives particularly, they have, through intellectual prowess and stamina, managed to capture the hearts and minds of the other 20% of the voter constituency. Republicans, on the other hand, by accident or purpose, have embraced the 80% winning issues. Oddly enough, new Republicans are the working class Americans, immigrants who have come into the U.S. through legal ways. Black Americans who used to be solidly in the Democrats' camp now realize the Democrats have kept them down with programs deemed to them as culturally insensitive and really strike at their integrity.
So, John, if the progressives get a toehold now, and they're the only ones we seem to be seeing in the media, they're the ones that are making all the noise, where does this leave voters in the middle and those looking for a home who aren't necessarily comfortable with Donald Trump and or the Republican Party?
Well, I think Dave has hit a lot on it. That toehold is a gift for conservatives in the GOP because that toehold by the extremists. You didn't mention Mr. Tim Walz, I don't think, Dave.
There was a reason.
I don't think you were going to list him as a moderate. And
No.
So some of but you're exactly right. They're on the wrong side of history, as one might say, when it comes to men in transgender sports. I'm not sure you emphasized the popularity of defending gang members, rapists, and drug dealers, which seems to be the fashion right now amongst that child actress, I think you called her. And meanwhile, we see a similar demographic, as we discussed in Canada, where the blue-haired old, not blue dog Democrats anymore, the people who are not suffering the brunt of the economic problems that the youth are out there ranting and raving for war with Russia and open borders, and the disconnect is phenomenal. And meanwhile, a lot of those younger people are not moving into the far left progressivism. We might even see a time where not wearing a nose ring is a radical act. We see Catholics, people, young men leading the move into Catholicism in the UK and in the US. Lisa Donner wrote a great piece about this. I think as Jesus is making a comeback, especially among young people. I thought that was a great piece. People are sick of the hate. They're sick of the double finger thing, whether it's in Canada or the United States. A lot of young people have woken up to the lies of wokeness. A lot of these children have grown up in the shadow of this hatefulness, this divisiveness. As Dave points out, blacks and Hispanics have caught on to the scam, and they don't want to be scammed anymore. They want real policies that matter for the bulk of the people. And AOC and Bernie Sanders are just going on with their same Marxist, revolutionary, hate everything rants, and they're not showing an ability to pivot. Gavin Newsom at least finally acknowledged that maybe men and women's sports wasn't good, and he got attacked for it by the far left. So the more the far left leads, the more this party, I think, will find itself suffering a repeat of the 2024 event where they said, well, we'll just call him a racist and call him a Nazi. And they were totally out of touch. People are sick of it, and they're looking for unity. In fact, we saw that a black football player who dared go golfing with the president was excoriated by white people because he shouldn't be allowed to do that. He should know better. We're not supposed to talk to people even if we don't agree with them. I think Dave is right that that's going to continue to push people in the walk away direction.
Now, Graham, when you and I were growing up, the Democrats were the party of peace and of the working class. Now it seems they're the party of war and rich coastal elites and radicals. How did this happen?
Well, I think it all comes down to the stranglehold that the left has had on the world of academia for some time, and of course, the eventual outcomes there is that you got a lot of people who came out of the universities and the schools years ago now, and they were already indoctrinated with this radical left-wing ideology. And of course, now they are the people who are running corporations, or at least they're senior executives in these corporations. And they are, they're in the world of media, they're in the world of entertainment. And so they have been able to, even though the radical left does not represent a majority of Democrat voters. It doesn't seem that way, though, because they seem to be wielding an outsized amount of influence, and they are the loudest voices. And so we think now that the entire left has gone completely lunatic extremist. That's not true, but the faction that has, they're the ones that are calling all the shots. And of course, what's funny is that you still got a lot of Democrats. I have Democrats who I know personally who still complain about, the Republicans only care about the wealthy, the Republicans only care about the rich, and their jaws drop when I point out to them, but most of the wealthy, most of the rich in this country now actually vote Democrat and donate to the Democratic Party. You've got big tech on your side. You've got big pharma on your side. You've got the entertainment industry. You've got the world of publishing and media on your side. There are more billionaires who donate to Democrats than there are who donate to Republicans, and their jaws drop. I think there's a lot of Democrats out there who haven't even really seen this radical shift. Some of them still believe that they're supporting the, Bill Clinton's Democratic Party. And they don't even understand that they are now, you talk about, complaining about the 1%. Well, the 1% mostly give their money to Democrats these days. So, and they don't seem to understand that, which is kind of funny. It's a mass delusion almost.
Well, if the wealthy and the college educated hadn't voted in the numbers that they did in the last election, Kamala Harris might have lost 40 states or 45. That's how much the Democrats had to depend on the so-called elitist vote. So, Andrew, what do you see as a possible go-between from the Democratic Party to average, everyday, ordinary Americans who have to be looking at what the Democrats are doing now and saying, well, maybe I don't like Trump much, maybe I even dislike Trump or even hate him, but these people aren't giving me any sort of constructive alternative?
Okay, I'm going to answer that question, but first I have two questions here. One, what actually this ties into what you're saying, Tim. What makes you think that the Republicans will hold on to power, Dave, considering that it's the economy, stupid, and if consumer sentiment remains as low as it currently is over the next, let's say, heading into the midterms, why would voters still vote Republican? And two, when were Democrats ever a party of peace? All I know from history is that they were at the forefront. A lot of the wars the United States has been involved in, Korea, Vietnam, during Clinton bombing Iraq. And
It's true, but they were also at the heart of the anti-war movement in the 1960s, which sort of defined the radicalism of that era.
what about LBJ? LBJ was a Democrat president, correct?
And they drove him out of office.
Okay, great. So now, just to present a proposal for a lot of Democrat voters, maybe take Canada's approach and establish a new Democratic Party. And don't have Jagmeet Singh lead it, but of course you can have another viable option for the sane Democrat voters who don't like men playing in women's sports or men going to women's bathrooms or everything is 2S LGBTQIAPP plus. So that's a proposal the Democrats could consider. Of course, you split the vote, so that'll be an issue. But that's the only thing I can think of that would save modern Democrats and blue dog Democrats and blue dog Reaganites, all those people. So that's the only thing I can think of. I mean, if anyone else can think of something, then I'm more than full on ears. Because no way is the Democrat Party going to suddenly say, yeah, you know what, we agree with Republicans that men should not be in women's washrooms.
Well, I'll tell you what, one thing we do know for sure is that the Democratic Party is losing its image as the party of the common man. And how they're going to take back that mantle from the Donald Trump Republicans definitely remains to be seen. Thank you, panel. So that's it for our Conservative 5 panel today. Check out our other C5 shows and segments on your favorite video platform, YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble. We're on them all. As well, Liberty Nation News has its own Roku channel where you can see all of our TV productions. Now, Liberty Nation does not endorse candidates, campaigns, or legislation, and this presentation is no endorsement. I'm your host, Tim Donner, filling in for Sarah Cowgill. Thanks for joining us today for the latest news and commentary. Your choice for free thinking, free speech, libertynation.com.